Hello everybody, this is KenZy here, and today I actually have a best of 3 series for you from MLG Providence. Okay, so MLG Providence has a lot of uncasted replays, especially in the open bracket. There's just tons of really good, really top quality material there. I haven't actually watched, say, this series for example, but it's probably gonna be good. Like, I'm hoping it's going to be good. Like, I can't confirm it for you because I haven't watched the replays, because people prefer it when I cast that way, but this is the kind of thing which I'm talking about. There are lots of replays in MLG Providence which haven't been casted yet, and they feature lots of top players like TLO. Some of them feature 2 big names. This one features really only 1 big name because Violet Illusion isn't a big name, and obviously today's game is between Liquid TLO as a Zerg player, as he was at MLG Providence. He is our red Zerg spawning in the right hand side of the map, and up top we do happen to have Vile Illusion, obviously from Team Vile, the same team as Dodaro, I believe, who I casted yesterday. So pretty exciting to be seeing Illusion today. And looking at their rankings on ladder at the moment, you'll see just how much TLO has been struggling lately. Illusion has been going really well on ladder. He has, what, 71% wins. He has rank 120 in the Grandmaster League. So he's, based on his percentage more than anything, and the fact that he's a Grandmaster, he's one of the top players out on the ladder. Of course, that doesn't mean anywhere near as much as, say, MLG rankings do. Say, you see lots of pro players, they basically say, American ladder doesn't really mean anything anymore, just because, well, basically it's lots of players who aren't really pros get to be the top. Basically because when a player does really well, their MMR gets so high, it's just that they might get, say, 4 points for beating a player like Illusion, whereas Illusion might, say, get 10 points for beating that same player that'd get 4 points for beating him, even though they're both high Grandmasters. So, of course, Illusion's one of those players that'd probably get more of the wins, just because he has such a high win rate and is lower ranked, but that's the kind of thing you have to watch out for on the ladder rankings. They can be a little bit misleading. Also, a good example of that is Faith, the player I've casted a lot. He's dropped down heavily in the rankings, with his win rate staying up about at 80%. He used to be top 1 all the time, but now that he's been up there for quite a while, his MMR's dropped down. He gets fewer points per win, he loses tons of points per loss, and suddenly he's a little bit lower in the Grandmaster League, but still well ranked. Okay, so going into the build so far, as I think I've introduced both players, TLO, if I didn't mention, has what? He's not in Grandmaster League this season yet, but he does have a few wins. He's got plenty of wins. He's got 65% wins in the Master League, so he's not doing too badly. So TLO did go for his fast expansion hatch first. It was, I believe it was a 15 hatch. Meanwhile, we did see what Illusion just going pretty standard, no gas in his opening, and that does facilitate a fast expansion, as you can see. It's just a matter of supply depot, barracks, supply depot, and now the fast expansion. So that's pretty standard so far. And we also saw something I didn't comment on at the time, was also a little thing going in here. Just for now I'll stop and I'll say there is a really nice play here coming out of Illusion. Unfortunately TLO's pull is up, so he's able to intercept any reinforcements, but this little positioning here, it does mean you cannot get a strand at all. It's going to allow this Marine to be very cost efficient, and it may even allow this bunker to get up, which would be an amazing start for Illusion in this game, but it looks like TLO isn't over, just preventing that bunker from completing, so very close there. Illusion doing a great job of applying pressure, using a really great spot here. Bringing 2 SCVs and perhaps walling in that Marine completely would have guaranteed a bit of success there. That didn't happen. It's not a big deal. Illusion didn't invest very much at all in that unit's last shows. He's a bit behind, but not significantly. He's still comfortably expanding quickly. He shouldn't have any problem securing that. And yeah, it's always a good thing just to try that sort of bit of pressure. I think it may have been out of range of that hatchery there. I'm not quite sure about that. It's going to be pretty close. Probably, even if it is out of range, it still allows your Marines to jump out, do damage, and jump back in, which is why it's so powerful. Okay, so we do now see TLO. He's going to stay out here, see no expansion yet. He may know that there's one on the way. A bit hard to say. He does have an overload back here. So what? Looking at TLO's cam, he does see the gas geyser. He can click on it to see the gas has only just come up. See, only 50 gas has been mined this whole game by Illusion. He probably knows about this expansion, which is why he sent out that ling. Probably a bit surprised to see a lack of the tech expansion over here, but again, I'd assume that TLO knows what's going on at this stage. Okay, so meanwhile TLO, I'd like to mention, does have a very high queen count. He's knocking down these rocks to be able to take a quick third if he likes, and also trying to work on these gold rocks too to allow him to macro up quite a lot. And he is getting a complete scout here, he knows the gas timings, and he's probably pretty sure there's an expansion here as he sees tons of Marines, tons of barracks, and no evidence of any gas heavy play whatsoever, which suggests a command center was bought. Okay, so we're now looking at the TLO's base. He does have, like I said, lots of queens, 2 extra queens, which suggests A, he's going to be expanding very, very quickly to a 3rd base, possibly even 4th base, and B, he also is going to spread a lot of creep, which may be to facilitate that expanding. Creep spreading does have other benefits too, obviously, such as the vision and the speed it gives you. Allows, say, Hydra play, it allows queens themselves to become a lot more effective too, and we do now see a bit of a pushy by illusion, and I feel like these queens, they do not have energy for transfuse. They almost do though. This one will by the time the attack does hit, and that is going to help him a lot, I feel, with the spine there too, especially. These marines shouldn't be able to do anything, and yeah, illusion's just going to see that and go straight back home, it looks like, although no, just waiting for reinforcements, and he's going to apply some sort of pressure here. He's trying to force, I feel like, Lings to be built more than anything else, and here comes TLO with 3 queens moving out, and he's being very aggressive with these queens. A little bit surprising just how aggressive he was there, and he does have transfuse energy, can save this queen if need be. It looks like he's just going to be able to get away with not even having to transfuse, and illusion is now going to back off. So Lings were forced to be produced, 16 were on the way, and that's fine for TLO because really he needs to make Lings that doesn't die to a big push anyway. And he is not able to kill his marines with that number of Lings. It is just for safety. He'll only be able to hold off if he does have the queens and the spine all attacking together, but again, it's still a pretty safe position to be in at the moment for TLO, with only marines on the field for illusion, although a lot of marines in continued pressure. Perhaps we're going to see a stim timing here, as it looks like illusion is Stim and Combat Shield and +1 attack, so perhaps we'll see a timing attack when those upgrades do finish, or at least when the Stim and Combat Shield do. And here we go, see a big surround that looks like coming out of TLO. Perfect surround actually, as just as speed completes for his Lings, and he's going to kill actually every single marine. He can produce a few more than I thought he was actually going to, and it is going to be a close battle here, so it looks like the marines will only barely be killed. That's not like Illusion's stuffed, but it was a very, very nice pick up there by TLO. Income tab does show 50 to 43 harvests, so that did eat a little bit into the lava of TLO. Overall, the macro game is pretty even, with the 3rd base being taken by both players simultaneously, which really suggests that TLO needs to take that 4th pretty quickly, and he is also panning away at these backdoor rocks to ensure that he is able to harass and perhaps deny this 3rd base, if it is indeed taken at that location. Although, also important to remember, look at these rocks here. Well, say, look at here at this location. Obviously, there could be a planetary thrown down here. Very, very strong position for a turn to hold on this map. That planetary in the middle of the map on that high yield is very easy to defend once it completes. There is a window, of course, when it is building, when it is easy for Zerg to attack and deny. So, also a nice little wall in here by illusion. Of course, it's temporary, but I assume he'd build more buildings here once the command center does finish over here and he lifts it up. And we do see him working at these rocks over here, so apparently he is going to go up to this top left location, which is not going to be very safe, just because TLO will have already killed these rocks by the time illusion actually expands that, I think. Okay, so TLO just moving around. He doesn't have any upgrades, although he does have 1 attack and 1 armor on the way for his Zerglings. Also getting Baneling's speed on the way, and his 3rd base is going to be saturated way before the 3rd base of his opponent is saturated, although that 3rd base is actually completed, the building itself. Excuse me, sorry. Anyways, so illusion, meanwhile, it looks like he's going into a very heavy bio build. He's actually very interesting, actually, I think, against a Zerg player, to not go straight into siege tanks and instead to go bio, as it obviously the standard thing to do these days, just to go marine tank medevac. And we do now see it looks like illusion going to be a little bit aggressive with these marines, so we'll have to see if TLO is ready for this sort of build. I feel like he should be. He does have Infestors on the way too, very, very nice against bio, as long as the units are clumped up. Loads of Banelings on the way. They will actually be able to morph without being killed. These units are just sniping creep viewers. Very, very effective things to do. Sniping creep, it does mean that Banelings are a lot less effective, but here come the Banelings, and all these units are on creep, making them very, very vulnerable to these Baneling hits, and here come the Banelings. Actually, a very, very nice marine split there by illusion. You can see he's actually annihilating these Banelings with marines, so that shows you how effective the Marines can be against Banelings even, and you can see Unit's lost tab does show that despite that engagement and despite the early engagement that was so good for TLO, TLO is now behind on Unit's lost tab. Of course, he's not behind in the game overall. He does have 77 to 65 harvests. With mules, that's fairly even, especially because on 3 bases you cannot, well, you can accommodate 77 drones. Not really more than that though. And yeah, he is taking a 4th and 5th bases now simultaneously. So very, very quickly, we will see TLO full ahead in macro. Of course, that's largely for the lava more than the bases, because 3 bases, all mining strongly with 77 harvests is about as much as you need, and it will allow him to get more gas though, which is very, very crucial if he does plan to tech up a lot, as the first Infestor is now on the way, with Pathogen Glands already being completed. Okay, so we do now see just Lings moving out, sorry, Marines moving out against a force of pure Lings, no Failings even at this stage. And we do now see +1 attack versus 1/1 upgrades for TLO. Does have that upgrade advantage, and a really odd decision, this move by Illusion. He is trying to use Medevac Micro, but it is not a very strong force at all to be using, just so... The odd thing I think is that he's just barreling down the front door as opposed to trying to make some sort of sneaky drop play happen. And it looks like this drop will be cleaned up, and for some reason the Medevacs haven't evacuated these Marines, just letting them die, which is a bit odd. Possibly the Medevacs will go down, but no, they will be retreated, so that's okay. And TLO doing something very odd with his Overlord, sending them all out over here. Not quite sure what that's all about. Anyway, so to see an Ultralisk Cavern on the way for TLO. That's actually a very fast hive, I must say, to get that Ultra Cavern so early. Going to be used in conjunction with Infestors, it looks like, although the Infestor count is only at 1, so apparently the Infestors are not a very favoured unit at the moment for TLO. Apparently 2 more are on the way. Adrenal Glands is on the way too for the Lings, and Ultras will be on the way very soon. Ultra's a very odd thing to just basically rush towards, and we'll have to see how that works out for him, as Illusion is now going for a huge drop into the main. This is what I thought he'd be doing a bit more, and he does have Siege Tanks now with their Siege Point already done. So this is actually a very powerful attack here. 3 Siege Tanks sieged up in the main of TLO. It's going to be very hard to deal with, especially with Banelings and Lings, as Siege Tanks is just so good against them, which is why rushing to Hive is so dangerous, as it does mean you won't have any Mutas or anything. And we do see the Marines being pulled back straight away, the Banelings hitting the tanks, but also hitting the Marines, so it looks like we just had enough units in the end for TLO to deal with that. Illusion, really, it was a really nice position, a really good idea. The problem with that attack is, of course, when you only have 4 Medevacs worth of units, it can be countered just by a large swarm existing, and that is the case there. Okay, so looking at Illusion, we do see just 1 bunker over here, fairly vulnerable location. This Fallen will help him a little bit, not that much, I think. Billings can just annihilate that, really. And we do see a 4th place on the way, so he's keeping on top of his macro. Very macro heavy game. So we do see another big drop into the main of TLO. Of course, Lings are already there to deal with it, so this will not do too much damage. I think probably should just evacuate, although with the 1/1 upgrades, it looks like Marines are fairly confident, although Fungal Growth actually doing an amazing job of cleaning out this attack, and may even get the Medevacs. That would be a huge blow if these Medevacs did go down, but no Queens are on site, so these Medevacs will barely escape, not one of them dying in the end. So that was obviously going to be very dangerous for Illusion. He is just continuing to attack by the same route. I don't know if that's very clever or not, considering that TLO is now setting up Overlords here. He will have vision if he just moves them a little bit further out into this middle gap. And you see, yeah, a few Lings are already here before this drop is even going to take place. I feel like this drop over here is not going to do very much damage at all this time around, but TLO does not have many units nearby, actually. His units are a bit spread out. He seems to have quite a... I'm not sure where his army is at the moment, but anyway, the important thing is that the drop will be cleared out, doing a little bit of damage. He will snipe a Queen. It looks like an Infestor going down, and another Infestor. Ultras are going to clean it out, and very surprising, I think, from the perspective of Illusion, to see Ultras all over the place already at this stage. The Ultras do have 3-2 upgrades, which again shows why those upgrades on the Lings are so great for TLO earlier, because it does facilitate his Ultras to be amazing at this stage in the game. We do see no additional, or the attack upgrades on the way, but the plating for the Ultras, the whatchamacallit, is that completed? Actually is completed, so those upgrades are not the armor upgrades, they are actually partly the Ultra armor upgrade instead of just the regular armor upgrade, and we do not see this one Ultra actually getting picked off, so a little bit of poor macro there by TLO to just abandon that unit basically. Okay, so the army of TLO is looking pretty menacing at this stage. He has been able to macro up really heavily, but 99 drones I think is a little bit too much. Of course, that means only 101 food available for your army. He is probably going to have to chuck up a ton of spines, I think, to just kill off some of these drones. And he may be doing that now. I'm kind of curious to see where these drones are going. Looks like they're just going to saturate these bottom left locations, which is okay. But again, the problem is his army will be a bit smaller, so TLO will have to be actively using all of his units, basically, to make that work. So a huge SCV transfer up here at the worst time possibly, as Ultras are all over this space, and suddenly a huge train of SCVs could easily be picked up by TLO. He will have a huge economic advantage if he gets those hits off, and it looks like Illusion is actually being forced to pull SCVs to build these Ultras, as by going for this heavy Marine medevac build so early on, just ignoring siege tanks for so long. He has put himself in a position where he cannot really properly deal with all of that stuff. We do see now drops coming over here in the main, over here at the 4th, over here by TLO into the main of Illusion, where overstim units could easily be killed by a single fungal or something, though there is not energy for that at this stage. And this drop over here was cleaned out. Over here, it looks like all the SCVs have gone down, and in the top left location you can see Illusion has just stabilized. So Illusion has done a good job of stabilizing. He has fought off all of the attacks, and it looks like, yeah, he is actually dropping over here as well. So a really, really interesting situation here. Units loss does actually heavily favor Illusion, but again, the macro is just so much better for TLO. At this stage, 85 to 49 harvests is a huge advantage for TLO. His army composition is probably a bit better, just not that many tanks on the field, 7 now, so the tank count is getting better for Illusion. So overall, it's a really interesting game. It's really, all the ultras are actually dead. Maulings running over here are being cleared out, and I'm really just curious to see, yeah, that's the big thing for TLO, is by running over to this side of the map just now, and with all those SCVs being transferred at the worst possible time, we do see so many harvesters killed by him, and Illusion is now moving in here, although ultras have popped out, and they are going to be able to clear this up as the tanks were not sieged at all when the units came in initially. Fungals are going down, units are not really spread out at all for Illusion, so the Marines are all going to go down. So a very, very nice hold here for TLO. Illusion's food count has suddenly plummeted. It is really, really low, and Lings are continuing to stream across everywhere. And really the great thing about TLO, I have such a strong economy, he can constantly replenish units, and while Illusion, say what, we still have 85 harvesters, so still tons of harvesters for TLO, so he still probably has a few too many harvesters, but at the same time, he is losing tons of units to Illusion. But the thing is, until Illusion gets 200 out of 200, the army, well, the harvesters having too many, it won't really be a problem for TLO. It'll just allow him to keep replenishing his army, and really, as long as he can keep replenishing his army, if TLO just continues to basically swap units, even if it's not particularly economical, it will favor him because he has such a huge economy at this stage. You can see just Illusion is engaging really, really well with his Marines. Illusion does have what? He does have 3-2 upgrades, so really nice upgrades and a couple of bailing hits, and suddenly the army of Illusion looks so worthless. I mean, if you look at 30 Marines left, 10 medvacs, that is the entire army of Illusion at this stage versus what, 66 Lings. It's growing rapidly, 2 Ultras, 5 Infestors, a few Bailings. It's really, really not good for Illusion, and really, even though the it's actually settled down to 80 a bit. It wasn't really a problem once it got below 90, I'd say. And we do just see Maulings running by. TLO just huge APM, I assume. Yeah, 137, that's with the nut, that is pretty huge. And we just see normal Marines moving all over the place, mining being delayed again and again at this location. You can see, despite being operation for so long, 20-30 minutes into the game, this early third still hasn't mined out at all. It's not even close to mining out, whereas from the TLO perspective, I think he's a little more mined out, yeah, a fair bit more, and that's considering mules were used over here as well. That is very, very unusual indeed. And Illusion is just continuing to struggle to pump out nothing but Marines. They are now 3-3, but TLO is just charging in with more and more units. He doesn't actually have the last upgrades for his Lings. A bit of a mistake there, I think, for TLO. Basically, the one thing which he has been doing probably wrong, although that is now on the way as I speak. So we do now see again Maulings moving all over the place. It's basically just TLO constantly applying pressure and not allowing Illusion to build up the army that he needs, because TLO, while he doesn't have the, well, he hasn't really had one huge army at any one point, although he has had lots of ultras. They haven't all been at the same time, really. He has basically just always had a big army, always had lots of units, always had a very mobile army, and he's always been basically applying constant pressure to Illusion. And you can see, still only at 75 food after all this time, after all these good engagements for Illusion, he is still behind, and despite that units loss tab, which heavily favors Illusion, we do just see him having to GG out of this game, and basically really, really well played by TLO. He was all over the map, just doing an incredible job of everything, and there goes the phone. So yep, having dealt with that, all there is left to say is thank you for watching game 1, and of course this is a best of 3 series, so stay tuned for game number 2, which I'll cast in just a moment.